Okay, we are recording. Hello and welcome everybody, either joining us. I'm pre-recording this time, which is a little different. I've not done this before. It's a little bit of an experiment. We do want you to be able to participate, but I thought, since I'm not sure what I'm doing here, I thought it might be a little tricky to juggle live chatters. So what I decided to do, I have my wonderful guest, Chris, here from Elemental Cartomancy. Hello, Chris.
Thank
And
you. Hi, Robin.
what I'm going to do is we're going to record this play, game, experiment, whatever you want to call it. And then I'm going to set it as a premiere with chat so you can participate in the chat. And one or both of us will be back when that premieres to interact with you. So let's see how this goes. So what we're doing today, what did I call it? I couldn't even come up with a good name for it. I call it two deck tarot conversations. And what inspired it is a lot of people pair tarot decks, so they layer them. They work with multiple decks, and I had never done that until I think last week. Deanne of Blue Crescent Tarot on her channel did a little meetup of people discussing the possibilities of layering decks. And so we tried it, and I thought, well, this is really kind of interesting because each deck has a different perspective. Even if they're all RWS decks, they still have a slightly different slant on things. And I thought, what if we invite decks in like extra characters or chatters or whatever, other readers, and have them have a dialogue with one another? Now, if you're playing this as a game, you can either create it like a comic strip. It's a 4-panel thing. It's 4 cards. And I'm going to go first to show Chris how I do it, and then he'll do it his way. But you can either tell a story between these two figures. The first one makes a statement. The second card next to it responds in some way, which is either in a supportive manner or an argumentative manner. Whatever. We'll see what the personalities are like. The third card on the second level below is the first deck again, rebutting or reacting to what the second card had to say. And then the fourth card is in that second row. It's the second deck sort of responding to what they've just heard or summing the whole situation up. So if you do it as a reading, possibly they're each elaborating or expanding on what came before. And somehow, hopefully, we find a resolution in the fourth card. Or maybe we don't, but somehow it ends the conversation. And maybe then you look back at the 4 cards and see how the conversation went. Maybe you can derive an answer to your question how all 4 cards interacted. Maybe some are supportive, some are argumentative, whatever. So this is an oddball kind of a thing to try, and I don't know how it's going to go. I did it once myself, and it went really well. But I'm going to do what I did last time. I'm going to use my 2 decks. I'm going to use my open face, which is a majors only deck, and I'm going to use my Little Norman, which is a Lenormand deck. And I was curious because they both have central figures, characters in them, and it makes it easier for me to relate to them as 2 individuals having a conversation. So that's why I chose those decks. And also, they have certain similarities to the decks, but they also have different personalities. So let's see how much they're alike or how different they are. I'm not even going to do a question unless my question is, can you do a general reading for me? Give me, what do I need to know today? Maybe what do I need to know about this whole game or this whole project? So I'm going to shuffle my open face tarot. If you don't know, it looks like that. You can get it at MPC if you really want to.
You better hope you don't get the tower as your first card after asking that question, Robin.
It could work. It could happen. Okay, and then I'm shuffling my Little Norman's Little Lenormand. That's also at MPC. I'm not really here to do a sales pitch, but I picked these two because I'm sort of most familiar with them of any deck, and graphically, they're easy to see the images on camera when I'm doing this because I don't have the setup Chris has. He has an overhead camera, which will make it a delight for all of you. I have a fuzzy, out of focus camera that's not going to be as clear, but we'll see. All right, now what I'm going to do, I'm going to lay down my 4-card spread all at once. I could do them one at a time, but I actually kind of want to get a little bit of an overview to see how my reading is going to go. Gives me a little bit of a heads up of the direction that it might take. Okay. Well, I guess I should show them side by side since I set it up that way. I was going to do them one at a time, but then that's more of just a spread than it is a dialogue. Okay, I have the Empress and the Coffin. So it's interesting because, well, I wasn't going to do it this way as a dialogue. I mean, because the Empress is sort of birth and the Coffin's kind of death, but that's not what this game is about. The Empress to me says, hello, how are you? I'm nurturing something. I'm bringing something into being. Is this maybe a good time to start something new, like a project like this or a game like this? The second card is sort of telling me, I'm not so sure this was a good idea today. Maybe you ought to sleep on that one and think it through a little bit more, or just change the idea altogether. Do something different. Now I've got the other two. I've got the Magician and the House. The Magician sort of, I think, is kind of rebutting the negativity of the Coffin card by saying, but I think I have the skills to do this. I think I can pull this off. And the House card is saying, well, as long as you feel safe in your home, but I'm not sure I want to play. I don't feel very outdoorsy today. I may go home and play by myself in my own room. So it's sort of a question of, can these decks work together? Do they want to work together? I'm getting a little bit of a feeling today from these two decks that the open face is always open and ready for anything. And Little Norman's a little bit on the fastidious side and really doesn't feel much like playing, or not playing this game today. Maybe he's got a board game at home he'd rather play. So that's my first spread. And I don't know if that made any sense to any of you watching, but I'm going to toss it right over to Chris now to take his turn on his first two randomly pulled decks.
Okay, cool. So I'm going to do something a wee bit different, and I'm going to ask a question. So so this round, I'll ask a personal question. So I'm going to ask, what do I need to know about my career? Because I'm interested to see how the decks are going to talk to each other and what different ideas each deck might have about that. Okay, so I'm using Anaturian's Tarot of the Abyss, and I'm going to use, to counteract that, Chris Ann's Lightseers. So these are two decks that I use a lot, know really well, very personal to me, and that's why I'm using them for a personal question. Okay, so we're starting off with the Three of Wands, the Robin card, which is very appropriate because I'm collaborating with Robin. The Three of Wands is a card that says to me, things are happening. The three is linked to the Empress. The Empress is creativity. It's, exploring new things, creating new things, expansion. So this is saying, well, in terms of your career, this seems to be a very expansive time. Things are happening, and this is maybe me watching my career taking off. The light seers comes in and seems to support that. So it's maybe adding in as as well as it expanding. You're kind of it's letting you connect with new and different people. And I love how the the black and white versus the full color of the light seers here. Light seers here. Light seers is really kind of bringing in the color palette there.
What card is that?
It's two of cups and the
Okay.
three of wands. So sorry, I'll hold them up so that people can actually see them properly. Um,
I,
but
I just
also,
asked because I wasn't sure if it was temperance or justice, but you clarified it. It's not.
okay, okay. Another thing that this might be saying though is, the three of wands is it's a very solitary figure. The two of cups is maybe coming in and saying, remember, things are great, things are looking good, but remember, you can't and you won't be doing everything on your own. You need to rely on other people as well. The like Tarot of the Abyss is then coming in with the Page of Pentacles. And it's more of this kind of a working hard again. We've got another solitary figure, so I'm curious as to see what the light seers is going to hit me with. If it's going to be another kind of a collaboration type card, but working hard. There's a key in his hand, and he seems to be either trying to bury something or look for something. It seems to me. We actually see the knight in the background here, which is interesting. And then in comes the light seers. Oh, and it's the Knight of Cups. So that's interesting because I says we see the knight in the background there, and there he is. So I get like very watery reading with the light seers. So the light seers is like your career, your job is about connecting with other people. It's about being empathic and how can you help other people. Um, Abyss seems to be very like, right, this is about working hard. This is about building your skills. So they're both really good advice on my career, but they seem to be both coming at it from a different angle, if that makes sense. So yeah, that's how I would read those four, and how they talk to each other.
Leave them there for a minute because
Mm,
I think it's interesting because here's something I didn't think about. I was looking at a dialogue between my two decks, and that's the idea of this. And you did the same thing in a different way, but it's funny they asserted themselves in a way that yours also connected to mine. So as in a way we have not two individual conversations. We sort of had a conversation with four people,
okay.
because your three of wands referenced me, like you said, and then you also made the connection between that and my empress. So I thought that was kind of interesting. Overall, I think my spread was more about play, and yours was more about work. Of course, you directed it at work from your question, but
Hmm.
I thought it was kind of interesting in terms of uh, whether you're at work or at play, you are in collaboration with other people. So both of them kind
Yeah.
of address that issue in the way like mine is like, shall we play this game? Do we play this game? And yours is like, this is how, you might go about working with other people in terms of your career. So I
Yeah.
thought that was sort of interesting.
Yeah. It was. It was really good.
Let's, unless you have questions or comments, we'll clear away and go for the second one.
No, I'm
Just
happy to move on to the next one.
just for the heck of it, do you have a beverage today?
I do. I've got a can of Iron Brew.
Can you show that? Because you every time you say it, I don't know what you're calling it.
Iron Brew.
RNBRU. Okay. Because I'm
So
thinking,
this is pronounced the same as the element iron. IRON,
And
iron brew.
does it have something in the ingredients that's more, you know?
To
Uh,
be honest, iron brew, there's the secret ingredient in iron brew that only I think two people in the world know, or maybe one person in the world knows. And it's always been that way ever since it was invented. Um, so I don't really know what's in it, to be honest. But there's lots of people that have tried to find the secret ingredient, and I don't think anyone has.
is it like a soda or an alcoholic beverage, or what kind of?
Oh, it's a soda. It's a soda. It's kind of like Coke or lemonade, like
See,
Coca-Cola or lemonade.
because it has the name it does and that brew, I always thought it was like a kind of a beer or something.
Oh, right. No, no, no. No.
Well,
You think I was getting sloshed on every live?
well, beer isn't usually as strong. Well, unless you're a teetotaler, beer doesn't. I don't think it affects you as much as a hard drink, but who knows?
Yeah, tell that to my husband.
And also, when you said iron brew, I'm thinking, well, is that like Red Bull or something? You know, does it have more caffeine or more? You
All
know,
right. No, no, I don't think so. Not that I'm aware of. No. It's just like a Diet Coke or a can of lemonade or something. It's just like that.
so I made myself some iced tea, and it's Bigelow. I don't know if you have Bigelow brand over in the UK or not. I
I'm not
think
sure.
I think it's a state brand here, but they have different flavors, and they have this one is cinnamon stick. So it's a black tea with a very heavy cinnamon flavor to it, and I
Okay.
always enjoy it. But every once in a while, it just kind of gives me a little bit of a kick, that iron brew kick.
Nice.
I don't think I could buy iron brew here if I wanted to. I don't think they carry it. It's amazing
Yeah,
how many
it'll be pretty.
beverages there are now. I went to a class earlier today and I stopped in a Korean deli, and
Hmm.
I was looking for bottled iced tea, and they have brands that are not sweetened or flavored. I just want the tea, give me the tea straight. So I went up and down these refrigerated aisles, and there must have been 75 different beverages, and then a whole other aisle of beers and ales and things. In that whole store, I could not find. Um, I can't think of There's a couple brands here. I think one's called Honest Tea, and then I can't think of the other one, but they're both just tea and iced tea in a bottle. And I was just amazed. It's like, how can a store stock 100 and some different kinds of beverage and something as simple as unsweetened, unflavored iced tea? They don't have it.
Tea.
Anyway, all right,
Very
let's
cool.
go to round two.
Okay.
I don't know if I want to ask a question this time. This time I'm using the Maraloon Tarot. This is a
Okay.
very friendly, soft deck, and I thought I might throw it a bit of a curve. I've got this deck called Life is Like a Board Game Tarot, and this is sort of like a street map or road map of the Monopoly board game.
Hmm.
So it's intriguing because the Maraloon has this kind of very relaxed, peasant-y, desert-like oasis feel away from traffic. And then the other one has more like, this is just a roadmap. It's like you're traveling around the board. These are the streets you're
Okay.
landing on. So we'll see what happens.
Cool.
So shuffling, not a good shuffler. Try the other one. I haven't used this in a long time. I thought about clearing it out of my collection because I don't use it. Problem is, these days I have so many decks in my collection that I'm so compatible with that I
Yeah.
don't find any that really present difficulties. Since I wanted to make some purposeful mismatches to see what they do, and I had trouble finding them. I have one here to the side that I'm not sure about. Was there any chance that the Shining Tribe is going to show up as one of your six?
It's not actually, no.
Okay, then I'm safe. Because that one really challenges me. And I thought, well, it doesn't feel to me like it will work with other decks, but we'll see when its time comes.
Right, okay.
So let me just lay out the spread. I get my first two cards. Oh, that's very funny. I love it when decks have a sense of humor. Oh, oh my God. And the two rows of conversation really go well together too. Okay, the first card is the Chariot, and the second card responding is the Five of Cups on Damn That Sucks Place. So it's like the Chariot is, getting me going on my journey, wherever that journey may be. But it looks like maybe I haven't thought up my trip too well. Boy, this kind of like feels like it's going back to the first reading a little bit.
Right, okay.
You didn't look at your roadmap or make a travel plan before you started. So you just got in the Chariot and went to Damn That Sucks Place.
Oh dear.
So the next row is Justice and the Queen of Cups, supporter of compassion and intuitive feelings, which is a great pair. You know, so it's sort of like, the Chariot's sort of on a dead end street. Damn that sucks place, and
Mm.
you've got this compassionate justice card coming along saying, all right, don't fret, don't worry, go to your glove compartment, pull out your map or bring up your phone, look at your GPS, is that the right initial system,
Yeah.
and see how to get where you're going, or if you even have an idea where you're going to, because I am the supporter of compassion and intuitive feelings. I'm the Queen of Cups. I'm telling you, don't stress out. You had no timelines, you had no place to be, you just decided to travel today. Enjoy the ride. Don't fret. Don't be upset. You can go wherever you want to go. Just decide where you want to go and then make a plan to get there. So that's my conversation in this round. And you're
Nice.
you're welcome to throw in any reactions to my cards if you like,
Yeah.
or if any questions come up.
Yeah. No worries. Um. Okay. My So I'm going to start. I've got two witchy decks here, and the question I'm going to ask is, I'm just going to say, what does the world need to know right now? So starting off with the Hermit.
Mhm.
The world's been sent to its room to think about what it's done. And the Everyday Witch Tarot, the Queen of Pentacles. It's only to keep us safe. It's not really a punishment. It's some time to reflect and think, and really, like, we're being kind of kept in this safe place. It's a bit of kind of a tough love, but motherly love nonetheless. Because yeah, if we were just let out into the big bad world, then we might find ourselves in a difficult place. Um, I've got the Apprentice of Air. I want to say so it's 12, so that is the knight, equivalent to the knight. So the Knight of Swords, essentially. Um, so I suppose that's maybe like us coming back and saying, "Ugh, but I don't do well being cooped up and being kept in one place. I want to move. I want to be able to kind of like flap my wings like the bird in the image. Um, oh, and then we've got the Ten of Swords coming out.
Hmm.
So it's like, well, I did tell you, I'm not going to. I'm not going to keep on, telling you. I'm not, I've told you once, I've advised you, but I'm not going to chain you up. I'm not going to like kind of lock you up. If you don't follow my advice, then on your head be it, type thing. Um, so yeah, that was interesting. You get any thoughts?
Yeah. What's the first stack again?
So sorry, I didn't say, did I? This is the Practical Magic Inner Witch Tarot.
Nice. Are
Um,
all the cards close ups like that? I like that.
I'll show you some. Um, so yeah, they're
Oh,
quite like
yeah, very
simple.
focused. Yeah. Yeah, I like that.
Yeah, it's
I,
nice.
I just was gonna say I had a different take on that Ten of Swords because
Hmm.
in response to the first two cards, which are in the dark, and
Uh-huh.
for me, there is some hope in that last card. It's like it's always darkest before the dawn because we see this sort of defeat, but we also see the sun rising in the distance, bringing us out of that dark. So it's kind of like don't fret too much. There's light on the horizon.
Yeah, yeah, true.
No,
It's
what
also
sorry, the bird.
because that bird. It's almost like because this bird has gone out despite the advice, and now it's witnessed death essentially. It's almost like maybe that was what we were being protected from by the Queen of Pentacles, was having to witness kind of other horrible things.
What's card number
Um,
3 again?
the Apprentice of Air, which is like the Knight of Swords.
Knight of Swords. Hmm. I think there's something interesting between that and card number 4 because the Knight of Swords
Yeah,
is action in knowledge and communication, but it's just a single sword. And then the card next to it is like it's almost like, and the bird flying from one to the other is almost like you're gathering knowledge, but maybe don't overthink it or don't overdo it. You can gather
yeah,
too much. The
yeah, yeah,
one sword to 10 swords. There's a kind of an extreme there between the two cards. It's
yeah.
and it's very interesting to me because that hermit first is sort of like I don't feel so much like a usual hermit of as the solitude of the hermit. The lantern seems more focused on leading the way, finding direction, whereas
Hmm.
the queen is if there's direction to be sought, it's more like internal. She's seated on her throne, and it's I'm not sure actually of the 4 cards. The queen stands out to me the most because I think it puzzles me the most.
Mm, okay. Yeah. The bird in the Apprentice is directed right at the Queen as well, which is interesting.
Hmm. Oh, maybe it's saying follow the advice the queen just gave you,
Yeah,
or or since it's person number 1, should I follow the advice the queen just gave me?
yeah, yeah.
And
Interesting.
refresh my memory. What was the question? It was like, what should we all need to?
What does the world need to know right now?
What does the world need to know? Oh,
Yeah,
I love the first and fourth card in that regard because it's like we're searching for uh, illumination. We're searching for the light. We're searching for relief from the darkness, and we're feeling
yeah,
very defeated. And I'm really feeling that this year. The closer we get to our election over here, the worse it gets. It's a very I don't know how you guys are doing with what you have to deal with, but it's very stressful on our side of the ocean this year with the
yeah.
month coming on. Um,
Yeah, it seems to be hitting everyone at once. Our First Minister's just stepped down,
well,
um, or left. Um, and I know that Canada are probably going to be going through the same thing soon as well.
hmm.
So I think it seems to be hitting us all, really. So if there is, I suppose, light to be found in the uncertainty, then yeah, definitely
Well, it's
going to want to be
interesting
finding
that
that.
your spread is interesting also because it feels slow, even though the night is action, and I'm visualizing the RWS night, but that's not the same as this night. I don't know what the speed seems to indicate in this night, but the hermit is very slow. The queen is seated. The fourth card is lying down, defeated, and
Hmm.
and it's like one might also almost expect from the question you ask that the tower would pop up, or death or something, but it's not.
Hmm.
It looks like a very slow, long time or something, a process that we need to talk about that's not coming on, pardon me, not coming on quickly, that needs to be sort
Yeah,
of slowly taken in or analyzed. What kind of bird is in card three? Can you tell?
I'm not sure. I can hold it up close so as you can maybe tell, Robin, but I have no idea.
I was
I can
just
look it up in the book and see if it tells us.
No, I was just trying to get at whether it was a bird of prey or something more docile, and it
It
doesn't.
looks more like a hummingbird type thing, but
Yeah, because I
let's
was going
see.
to say the only thing that might indicate aggression or speed is if it was a hawk, an eagle, a falcon, something like that, a bird of prey. Now, if it's a hummingbird, that sort of connotes lingering a little bit, and
Yeah,
yeah, it's funny. That would be weird in juxtaposition with a night, because the night feels like movement to me, and a hummingbird we always see hovering around flowers, gathering nectar. So that's
we
it.
are, but there's a lot of movement that the hummingbird is doing to maintain that. So there is, and it is a hummingbird. I've just looked it up. It says the hummingbird is a creature of quick movements, courage, and endurance. So, like, the hummingbird is moving really, really, really fast to be able to appear as though it's just hovering.
It is,
So,
but it's moving fast in one place. It's like moving
mhm,
without moving forward or gaining any ground. It's like, which is that sort of smacks of world stress too. It's like we're all caught up in our thoughts this year that are stressing us out, and they are increasing the further we go, like a hummingbird speed, and
yeah,
and and yet we don't seem to be able to move beyond. We're kind of defeated. We're not getting out of that. And by your
mhm,
card, it looks like there's light at the end of the tunnel, but it's not nearby. It's far off.
yeah, yeah. Do you know the weirdest thing just happened? The door just opened by itself. Um, like I've
You
got, I'll show you.
wasn't the dogs.
No, the dogs aren't here. The door just opened.
Yeah, a spirit walked in. We allow spirits to come in if they're friendly and supportive.
Yeah. Um, right, am I good to clear away or?
Yes, yes, I think that's good.
Okay.
Uh, what's our time looking? Oh, we got 20 minutes yet. I was going to only have us do three today, so I only had you draw six decks. But well, let's do the third one and see where we're at.
Cool.
So, what am I going to use? I think for this one, maybe I'll use the friendliest, easiest deck juxtaposed with my newest, most challenging deck. And that's going to be I have an RWS, but it's a different one. It's a nighttime backgrounds, black backgrounds, which gives us sort of a darker slant on Pixie's art.
Okay.
And,
I've
and
got an RWS here as well. Is that okay if I'm using
yeah,
that
that's
too?
fine. I think it'll be different energy anyway because of the sort of cast on this deck being dark or nighttime. And I'm going to pair it with Rachel Pollack's Shining Tribe Tarot, which I've only done a fast walkthrough and first impressions, and I haven't really worked with this. This probably needs massive shuffling, which I'm terrible at. So we'll see what happens. Let's just shuffle a little bit and chat. If you got anything you want to reflect on or talk about here.
I think it'll be really interesting to see how your two decks talk to each other, because I know that obviously they're probably, it would be safe to say, Rachel's, they were her two favourite decks. They're the two that she used the most. They're the two that she used when she was reading professionally for people. And she designed the Shining Tribe to be essentially in dialogue with the Rider Waite Smith.
Interesting.
Because she talks about, so for example, the Five of Stones, which is like her Five of Pentacles, you see these kind of a spirits rising from the five stones, I think it is. And she says that it's almost like the pain and the suffering that we tend to see in the Five of Pentacles, we see that being healed or starting to be healed in the Five of Stones. So it was always meant to be a kind of a dialogue type situation with those two. So I'm really excited to see what you come up with here.
It's deck sniffing. This is the worst smelling deck in my entire collection. I don't know if you have any plastic decks. Sometimes plastic decks can have a really unpleasant chemical smell. And this one,
Right.
God knows what's in the plastic or the treatment. It is a lingering, nasty. Although I think I'd rather smell a nasty chemical odor than a biological one.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
I mean, petrochemical. I'll take petrochemical odor over, you know, diarrhea.
Yes.
Sorry, folks. TMI. It's funny, I haven't even drawn these cards yet, and I already know what I want to do, and I'm already getting a sense of something because of
Okay.
what you said about Rachel using these. I'm asking, does Rachel have anything to tell us from the great beyond?
Okay.
Maybe she will, maybe she won't, but I'm already feeling like, because the Shining Tribe has the word shining in it, which is bright or illuminating, and this particular RWS is set at night in the dark, or perhaps messages from the other side, the dark side, Shining Tribe messages from the dark side of the RWS. There you go. How's that for a title?
Nice. I like it.
Okay, stinky card number 1 is the Nine of Wands. It's very pretty, actually,
Okay.
with the Ace of Birds. All right.
Oh. Oh, I love that.
So here we have the Nine of Wands and the Ace of Birds. What do you think about this dark RWS? Okay, or does it rub you the wrong way?
No, I actually really like it. I wasn't sure what I was going to think, but I love it, and I love that golden title bar. I think
Uh,
that's really nice.
uh,
Um, I tell you what I really love though is those two cards. I love those two cards that you've pulled. So So you asked to hear from Rachel,
Yeah.
and the Nine of Wands is set up kind of like a fence, but you've got someone who's almost like taking a wand out from that fence, and it's like they're kind of looking through the gap and they're peering round.
Yeah. Yeah.
And the Ace of Birds. So have you read the Forest? Walk through the Forest of Souls?
I didn't get all the way through. I'm about halfway, I think.
Okay. So Rachel does a reading with the Shining Tribe, and she asks, "What is the soul?" And she gets the Ace of Birds as the answer.
Wow. Wow.
So, and she then asks, "What is the tarot?" And she gets the Six of Trees. And I don't know if you can remember what the Six of Trees looks like, but it's a kind of a forest with these six trees, but they're kind of almost like tribal looking trees, and they've got like birds painted on them. So the tarot is like, she says, it's like a forest of souls because it's like the birds painted on the trees.
Oh.
And that's where the title of the book comes from. But anyway, sorry, that was by the by. So it's like Rachel's soul is come back through the veil just a wee bit. She's peering around to see what we're up to and if she wants to get involved. She's not quite sure yet because she's he's a wee bit apprehensive. He's like, am I interested here? We'll see what the next two cards are.
Well, it's funny because I mean, I didn't do my part of it yet, but that's okay. We'll
Sorry.
go with it. So this what's my number again? Nine. Nine. It's funny that Nine of Wands. I always feel sort of the same. I feel like this is always a wall of defense, even though the seven is usually the defense card. This one feels to me like setting up boundaries, or there's, but I agree with you. There's a gap in the fence, so there's an opening. But I thought it's funny that you said the what was it? Forest of Souls, did you say?
The
Or
Forest of Souls, yeah.
yeah, because that's what that looks like to me too. The nine wands there looks like a forest.
Yeah.
So it's a
Yeah.
forest of souls through which there's a gap to the dark side. And what's on the other side of the dark side? This ace of birds peeking through, which is Rachel sort of trying to decide, okay, I'm on this side, you're on that side, the gap is open. Shall I come through or not? I'm not sure whether to make that decision myself or leave it to you. So I'm just but I'm glad in a way that you dove in first to give me a little background on those two references, because all I know of the Ace of Birds is it's the equivalent of the Ace of Swords, which, I would have to read this card as an Ace of Swords. And I guess because there's a bird element and it's a Rachel element, there's this notion of somebody delivering to us or presenting to us the potential of some new idea or some new communication to consider. So I'm going to leave that first part of the dialogue there. And you might also want to think of this as a dialogue between Pixie and Rachel in a way, because they're the artists behind both cards. So it's like Pixie was saying one thing and Rachel was saying another. Okay, now we go to the second set, and this is the Three of Cups and the Hermit.
Okay.
Now, I mean, in this regard, I always think of the Three of Cups as like a gathering, a get together, a party. And it only takes two to have a party, you and I. The third person is our audience, be it one person or hundreds, So we're sort of gathering here, sort of hanging on words from Rachel. We don't know if we're going to get them or not, but we're very happy at the idea, the thought, the prospect that she might be poking her nose through the gap in the wall to peek in, see what we're up to, see if she has anything to tell us. And she seems to be saying something about the hermit, like, I'm in a different realm now. I think maybe I'd rather stay focused on this side of the wall. I'm enjoying what you guys are doing, how you're celebrating tarot, how you're getting together, how you're exploring things. I love that you love my deck and you're using it in conjunction with Pixie's deck, or a variation of Pixie's deck. I like the idea that you picked this one with the blackness, the darkness. The hermit often is found in the dark with a lamp, trying to find his way. I mean, I'm maneuvering my own way through this side of the other world. You're maneuvering through your side. And let's leave it at that. Let's, each pursue our own endeavors as far as that goes. So I don't think we have an answer or a resolution other than I think she's kind of given us a pat on the back, good work, or I like what you're doing, just keep exploring,
Yeah.
And whether
That's
you
nice. I like that.
and also whether you do it together or alone, three of cups or hermit, you're exploring, you're investigating tarot in a fun way together, or you're studying it by yourself. It's all good.
Yeah, definitely. Oh, I like that. I like how you read that. It was really nice. Shall I go with do my last spread then?
Yeah, but I see something here on the card.
There you go.
It's interesting to me. It's hard to see these symbols, but there appears to be either a door or a window there to darkness. Isn't that interesting?
Yeah.
So it's almost like that's the transition or the portal from her on the other side to us on the black side, black in the blackness, through the blackness of this other deck here.
Yeah.
There's a connection. It's kind of like a sort of a computer handshake or something. It's like there's something there that crosses dimensional boundaries, I think.
Yeah.
Okay, shoot.
I think it feels like she's kind of joining us for a bit. It's almost like she enjoys what we're doing. That Three of Cups, it feels like she's kind of so she's peering around with a nine, and then she's kind of joining in a wee bit. But then with the Ace of Words, it's the soul connection here that we're talking about. And then the Hermit is like after that's said and done, going back through that portal, back through that door into that darker place. That we saw with that Nine of Wands at the start. So it's like I'll join you for the experience, and it's good that you're having the experience. And then after that's done, then I'll get back to my hermit place type thing.
I just noticed more symbols on here. I'm appreciating more and more these days tarot decks that have seemingly insignificant border symbols on them that aren't like here at you. They're like almost like just trim on the border to be ignored or overlooked. I love that now. My favorite deck, which I'm not using because it's hard for others to follow, is called the Manuscript of Initiations. And it uses what's called marginalia, which are like the little decorative figures on the borders of medieval manuscripts that aren't necessarily related to the text or the main illustration, but they're just like little diddly doodles and extras. But a lot of times they do have little meanings they can like put in. And this one I noticed, look at it's going from the moon to the sun at the bottom. A turtle is traveling. And the turtles sort of like mythologically carry, I think there's a creation myth where the turtle carries the earth on its back or something. I don't know what she said, if she addresses that in her guidebook or not, but I love how it's moving in the direction from the sun or enlightenment to the dark mysteries of the moon, which also happens to be on the same side as that dark portal. And also, I love the fact that it's a turtle too, because turtles are very slow moving. And it feels to me like it's a comment on time and the process of time, like We joked the other day in a live about our age differences. How I it was brought to my attention that I'm old enough to be Chris's grandfather, and which is something I hadn't thought about before. The older I get, the faster time goes. Like when I was like a toddler, a day lasted forever. Now they fly by, and when I was working, it was slow too. But now that I'm older, they fly by. It feels like an hour and a half maybe for a whole day. I don't know why that is. So it's like our sense of time is really different. And some people say that, there there's no such thing as time. It's an artificial construct that man has created, and outside of that, and we use it to keep schedules and things, but to measure things, but really in the universe there's no such thing as time. And so what's time like in the beyond, if you believe in life beyond this life or life continuing just in another dimension, what is that feeling about time? Is there any time? Does it move slower? Does it move faster? What's that like? But I like that sort of touches on that for me, that
Yeah.
in the here and now, we're taking time to slow things down and look at cards and process information. So
Yeah.
thank you, Rachel. Thank you.
Thank you,
Sorry,
Rachel.
sorry for rambling. I'll let you go now.
That's okay. That's all right. I like it. I like the rambling. Okay, I'm going to be a shit stirrer and I'm going to ask a controversial question here. I am going to ask, is the Rider-Waite Smith better than the Tarot de Marseille? And the two decks that I'm using are the Rider-Waite Smith and a Tarot de Marseille. So I'm interested to see what cards I'm going to pull here. Okay, so is RWS better than TDM? Okay, so the RWS is starting off with the Ace of Pentacles. So I think what that's saying is it's definitely more valuable. In terms of it, I think it's trying to draw our attention to the amount that it's actually contributed to, the tarot sphere, the tarot world. It's proven a more worthy tool, is maybe what it's saying. And yeah, it's got a lot more potential to go on and do more. I think as well, with it being an ace, with the Ace of Pentacles, speaks to me a lot about kind of a potential and opportunity for growth and stuff. So that's what the RWS has to say. The Tarot de Marseille, the fool. So he's showing his arse
Right.
um, to the Ace of Pentacles.
Wow.
Um, so I think maybe the TDM's just going to take the piss a wee bit here, and it's not really going to take the question seriously. It's like, well, if you're not going to take me seriously, then this is what I think of you.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that was an interesting first answer. The RWS is then going to come back with the Pentacles again. So the RWS seems to be very focused on the Pentacles as a suit in the Earth. So it feels as though it's more grounded. It feels as though it's maybe helped more people. Um, Albeit I do find this card a wee bit like, you're only helping people as much as it's good for you type thing. Yeah, kind of have different feelings about this card depending on how I see it. But anyway, the RWS is saying, well, I've helped more people, um, and I feel as though I've reached more people than what the TDM has. And then finally, the TDM was just coming back with the Ten of Swords. So we get the Ten of Swords again in the final position, which is interesting.
Yeah.
Um,
Uh-huh.
But interestingly, in this ten of swords, we have the two crossed swords, the two straight crossed swords. It's the only card I think where we see two straight swords, and they're dueling. So it almost feels a wee bit like, well, fight me and let's see then.
Uh,
Let's put it to the test. Dueling swords at dawn type thing. And we'll find out once and for all who's the best.
yeah, I like that. It's funny the first card I saw was it reminded me of lawn bowling or croquet. It's
Hmm.
basically saying, I've got a ball in my hand. Look, the wicket's down the road there. I am the more I will give you the more focused answer
Hmm.
between the two of you, us. And that fool is like you said, showing his ass. He's like saying, "Well, come on, you're not even asking. If you're not going to even pose a serious question, I'm out of here. Like, there's no comparison between me and you. Like, I'm not even giving you the dignity to answer to your question." And then the third one is like, I'm not, I'm not only the more focused of the two of us, as in card one, I'm the more measured of the two of us. I will give you a more focused and more measured answer than the Tarot de Marseille. And the Tarot de Marseille, like you said, is sort of like challenging to a fight, or it's like there's no competition. I've got all the swords. I will defeat you. 10 swords.
Mm.
And uh, but it's weird because it feels to me like the Tarot de Marseille is not really is kind of haughty, or that's not the word I'm thinking of. Feisty, mischievous. It's not really telling me about itself so much as a reaction to the other deck, whereas the first deck feels to me like it is telling me about itself. Like I said, when considering these two options, these are my merits. I'm more focused and I'm more
Mm.
measured.
But when you look at it through that lens, though, I suppose you could say that it is because it's like, I can be fun and I can tell people fun things and talk to you. I can put it across in a way that's really kind of a foolish and childlike, innocent, all that kind of thing. But when it comes when it's needed, I can be really serious as well, and I can off with our heads type thing. Like I
Yeah.
can tell it as it is. It also appears to me like, so this is, like I said, these are all pentacles, and it's like you've got the 10 of swords, so it's like you're all substance. There's no actual intelligence going on here. I hold all the intelligence here.
Oh,
Um, so
interesting.
yeah, yeah, that
Well,
is.
when I look at them again, if I separate them, because I was looking at them interacting with one another, and for me initially it felt like the RWS was stating its own case in a
Mhm,
sort of I'm better than the other margarine or whatever. It's like
mhm,
I have this. But the second one didn't seem to be stating its case. It felt, I mean,
mhm,
it was just kind of reacting against the other braggart, and it. But now, if I separate the two and just say, okay, Marseille, state your case, then I would look at the fool. I say, I'm much more open. I have lots more possibilities. I have more openness, creativity. I can go anywhere, do anything, and
yeah,
I will give you more to think about. All 10 swords. It may not be sweet, friendly, lots of fun, but I'm going to convey a lot of information. So it's like
yeah,
might be I might convey more information than the RWS, because the RWS is focused on one answer or measuring out their wisdom, and I'm going to give you layers and depths that you haven't even considered.
yeah, yeah. The fact that it's answered an ace suit ace with a major, like the full major, like the full in most tarot games, the full is the most valuable card in the deck. So it's like, yeah, the Ace of Pentacles might be great, but it's nothing compared to a major arcana and nothing compared to the Fool. So
Well,
it's like,
also, even though the Fool is the 0, I think a lot of people consider it the first card or the beginning of the journey. And aces and the Fool are in both cases starters or beginnings, but
yeah,
but the Fool, since it's a major, it feels open to all 4 potential suits, everything, whereas the
yeah,
ace here is focused on one particular element.
hmm yeah, definitely.
It's like
I
ace
think
of,
that was my favourite out of the 3 readings that I did, to be honest.
yeah, the ace is kind of like, I'm going to give you the potential to achieve your reading,
hmm
but the Fool is I'm going to take you to places you never even thought of going.
Yeah,
No, you'll get your answer, but I'm going to take it. Fine, I'm going to have a whole smorgasbord of other things for you to think about as we try to get there.
yeah, definitely.
So we're just a little over an hour in. Does this feel satisfying? We can talk about it, or do you want to try a 4th round?
I actually think that was really good. If you're happy to, I'm happy to end on that. I feel as though we're ending on a good place. We've
I
did
was
it feels like a good time, and
I was gonna
yeah,
stop there, but I'm thinking, since this thing is built around 4 cards, that maybe we
mhm,
should go one final round. Or you don't have to, but I think I want to do one final one.
okay, okay,
Um, and actually, I'm going to use a Marseille this time. But what do I use it with? Is the question. Uh, oh dear. I have 2 decks, but I'm not sure. I got the Tarot de Maria Celia, which I love,
mm,
and don't know about this other deck. It's pretty questionable. No, maybe I should use that one that I love that I said is problematic for people, because it is my current favorite. It's funny. I'd never think. We've talked in the past about soul decks or favorites, and
mhm,
I've had a number of them. I mean, I go through them, and they seem to be a soul deck for a period of time, and then a new one comes along that, I don't know. Maybe they're not soul decks. Maybe they're just current favorites. I think probably my soul deck is the open face, just because of that connection I have with it. But in terms of my current favorite, it's this other one, and I never thought it would be a pip deck,
right,
because that's always been difficult for me. But I'm just at this point now where I manage them better. Although brain wise, I default to RWS images even when using my pip deck, and then I
mhm,
layer on the other images that are on the card.
mhm,
So this is what I'm going to do. This is well, I'm going to open with the Tarot de Maria Celia, so that's a Marseille deck, and then I'm going to see how it interacts with. This is a new deck, but it's based on something that predates Marseille.
right,
So it's
okay,
kind of like the Marseille is the modern deck in comparison to this. Let's see
that's interesting.
what the history is like between them, and what they feel about each other.
Yeah,
Yeah, what do you think of each other? Let's say that. Between Marseille and a medieval deck based on manuscripts of mystical manuscripts. What have you got to say to each other? or about each other. Okay. I love it when the first card makes me laugh. Okay. Okay. I love it. The first card we've got is force or strength
Okay.
against the Knight of Wands. See, now, the reason I didn't want to use this deck is because it's going to be really hard for you to see the details on that card.
It's Knight of Swords, Robin.
Yeah, Knight of Swords and force or strength. So I want to say, oh, wait, I got them backwards. The first card is strength. The second one is Knight of Wands. Okay. So strength is sort of like, I'm ready to arm wrestle you. Between the two of us, you know, there's more meat on my bones. The Marseille, you know, I'm old,
Yeah.
tried and true. I got this, but the other one's saying, but I'm a knight and I'm a knight of swords. You know, I've got the information. I got the goods. I got the messaging here. My horse is rearing up on its hind legs. I've got the banner unfurled. I'm coming. So there's a little bit of the strength in here. There's a little bit of battle between these guys. See, I love these little extra bits. Like we've got text, which we can't read, but we know it's about the mysteries, the arcana. And then we've got plants growing out of them. So it's like blossoming of information. And then we've got down here these two fish. Not sure what to make of fish on a swords card. I mean, they're sharp, like maybe they're swordfish. But I mean, often when I see fish, for me, it's sort of like go with the flow, or things are going swimmingly. But look, they're face to face, sort of butting heads a little bit. So this Knight of Swords with the other card, I think we're up for a bit of a battle between the two.
Yeah. Also, the force card feels more in control of the lion, whereas in your Knight of Swords, the knight looks as though it's hanging up on two legs. So Maria Celia's like, I've got more control here. You know, I'm very much in control of myself. Whereas, you know, your knight there, you can't seem to control your animal.
It's true. And it's like it's a female with a tamed animal. So yeah, it's sort of like I don't have to prove how big my muscles are. I don't have to threaten you with force.
Yeah.
You can see I'm strong enough to handle it. And then him, you know, there's two there's like ready for battle, but there's also a battle kind of happening at the top a little bit. I can't. Both of them are a little bit kind of I prepare for battle. On the second grouping, we've got the Emperor and the Magician, which is nice. Now, oh, it's intriguing. They're facing away from each other. That's interesting.
Yeah.
The Emperor is like, you know, well, it's like no battles today. I'm turning my back on you because I am large and in charge. I am the Emperor. So I'm confident. Between the strength card and me, I'm confident about the Marseille and my position in the tarot world or tarot history. And this magician, the magician has some little monster figure at the top and an owl and an owl at the bottom and a lemniscate. So it's sort of like my mysteries have been here forever. I've got the
Yeah.
wisdom. I said magician, right? I thought it was the hermit for a minute. If you can figure out how to read my cards, you will gain the wisdom that I've been collecting for centuries and centuries and centuries, and you'll be able to make use of it.
Yeah.
So that's what I get from there. I love the backs
Yeah.
of cards, by the way, too. So beautiful.
Oh, they're nice. Yeah. Really nice.
So anyway, I'm sort of like alone in loving these cards so far, but I kind of like it that way. It's like I'm
Yeah.
a fan club of one. It's like my precious. I love it.
Oh, that's really cool. It's nice when you find a deck that you really like.
Yeah, and it was so cheap. I bought like 4 copies while it was cheap, and
Oh, nice.
I'm actually maybe I should. I probably shouldn't say this. I've been saving a copy for Simon for months now, and I don't want to mail it. So I'm waiting till he comes to New York to gift it to him. But
Oh, see.
he might not have any interest in it at all. So I showed the deck to Jen, who has moved here, and she goes, "Oh, that looks just like the kind of deck Simon would love." And
Right.
I mostly wanted to share it because when it comes to tarot, I don't embrace modern or contemporary. I love the
Uh-huh.
mystique of, you know, ancient mystery and secret dark magic and, things we're not
Mm.
supposed to know about that might be in
Yeah.
the Vatican archive or some old cathedral's basement, someplace. I love that kind of seriousness about tarot decks. So I tend generally not to. It's funny that I created 2 googly-eyed, silly ones, but I tend generally not to embrace silly or comical tarot or contemporary imagery, or
Yeah.
romanticized kind of gothic romance kind of sexuality and imagery in decks. But
Mm.
anyway, I'm loving this deck. So anyway,
Oh,
we
really
uh,
good.
almost near an hour and a half, and thoughts, reflections on that. Maybe it worked, maybe it didn't work. I think spreads. It was interesting whether it worked layer wise or not. What did you gain any insight or thoughts on it?
I think it's an interesting thing to try. I think your very first 2 cards that you pulled says it all. Um, like the Empress is like, this is a new thing we can try. This is this is creative. This is a new process. And then Norman came in with that coffin, being like, yeah, but it's not for everyone.
Yes, yeah.
And I feel like that really just says it all. It is really interesting to try, and I would encourage everybody to try it at least a handful of times and see what you make of it. Try it with different decks as well and different systems. It doesn't all have to be tarot. Um, yeah, try it and see what you make of it. And if it doesn't work for you, then by all means, take Norman's advice and just cut it out. But if it does, then you've added a tool to your belt.
Yeah, it's funny. It was like a comic strip. It's like the mother empress saying, "I'm ready to give birth to something new for you to try," and Norman's saying, "Honey, that thing's stillborn. Toss it in. I've got the coffin ready. We'll carry it away." You know.
Hmm.
So yeah. So yeah, I'm still not sure how I feel about this idea, and I don't know if this is a particularly great representation about layering decks because it almost feels more to me like pairing decks or interacting 2 decks than layering. I don't know if layering is more like one card on top of another and impacting or affecting the interpretation by an added veil of meaning from a different deck. I don't know. Do you have any thoughts on layering, or have you ever done layering? I think you did one with the black version, the ghost version of my deck, but I don't know if you set up Lenormand houses or how you did that one.
So that one was the 22 majors grouped into the three septenaries and the full on its own. And it was basically, I read them in columns. Each column had a different thing that it was talking to us about, you know. Essentially, the underneath layer was given as the spread position, if you will,
Like a
and
place.
then the card on top was like the, you know, the um, what you're interpreting in that position. Kind of like the way that the Anne did it, with like the one card being like, almost like the house, you
Hmm.
know, and then the card on top has been like what you're reading in that house.
Hmm.
So that's how I've done it, but it's not something that I do a hell of a lot. It's not something that I've done a lot at all, a lot of at all. So yeah, this has been interesting. It's been something different.
All right. Thank everybody who is joining us, or will be joining us, or will be watching this after the fact. And we hope to see you both all soon on both of our channels. If you're not subscribed to Elemental Cartomancy, please do. And I rarely mention it on my channel. If you're not subscribed to Toadstool Tarot, please do. And we'll see you next time. Thanks, Chris. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.